Yeah.
I'm watching the end of the Syracuse game here. They're not playing very well.
What's wrong with Gerard? We're not playing you well. It's usually him. What's the problem?
Yeah, give us an update, Nick.
Wait, here, good day.
That's fine.
41-38, about 13 minutes to play in the second half. 41-40.
Oh, is it basketball or football? What are we talking about here?
What was I looking for?
Mike Biddle is actually here early.
Howdy.
There he is.
I don't know where this.
What is that?
He's trying to hide behind
My
the
steering wheel.
I was hoping.
Hey, Mike. Hey,
Tesla.
Mike. Are we on tomorrow morning or not?
Yes.
So
If
I would
I
like to,
get up at 4:30 to go trudge through the snow, you better be there.
hey, Nick,
But
this is my time now.
go.
So, I'd like to call the executive meeting to order. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. Attendance, yes?
Craig Legman. Michael Biddle,
Yes, ma'am.
Brian Campbell,
Hey, I'm here.
Mike Wild,
I am here, thank you.
Dave O'Brien.
Here. Okay, we have 2 projects on the docket tonight. We have received one from Fowler Square. And I'll introduce, for those of you who don't know, is Chris Falvey. Chris Falvey is the manager of the project and the contact for his application. And we have his attorney, Gene Sneringer. Sorry about that. I was trying to do it from memory, but my memory's lacking some days. So they have come to the IDA. We had some preliminary discussions with them. I'll let them explain their project, but we have reviewed the project. We've reviewed what they're doing. They'll make a presentation, but Kara, would you give an analysis of how you see this fits into a project for the IDA, prospective project for the IDA to assist with?
Sure. It's a mixed-use project that consists of residential and commercial space. So there is precedent via New York State case law for the approval of mixed-use projects to be approved for benefits by that state.
So on the table, I heard the attendance, but Brian Campbell is an executive member. Lester is our COO. Wiles is the executive board member. He's the Queensberry supervisor. Brian Campbell is the Washington County supervisor also. Dan Bruno is a Glen Small supervisor and also a member of the IDA. George, with his hat on, is the other project is George Pencil from Votes by George, who will be giving his presentation a little later. And Michael Biddle, who is the president of the Antioch Regional Chamber of Commerce, is also on the IDA executive committee. Having said that, I will open up to Chris and let him explain what the project is, what the goals are, and why you think the IDA can making this project.
Thank you, Dave. You want some background on who we are and
Certainly.
okay. So Rossetti Properties is a 3rd-generation family-owned real estate development company. We own right now and operate over 1,000 apartments and about 450,000 square feet of commercial space. primarily in Albany, Rensselaer, and Saratoga counties. My father-in-law, Richard Rossetti, he started the company in the 60s, and I work with him every day along with my wife and now my son. We're hands-on people. We touch the property every day. We know what's going on. The management of the property are people that work for us. You know, we're not sellers. We don't really know how to sell. We know how to buy. And we've been looking at this corner for 12 years. It usually doesn't take us 12 years to buy a property. But in this case, the property was a little bit unique. And while we loved the corner from the get-go, we didn't like how it was being put together. We were in, then we got out. We continued to follow the project. And when it got approved in 2016, we got involved again, but we thought it had too much retail type of commercial on the first floor with apartments above. We'd seen countless times that type of project just not work. So we passed again. And then some point last year, we spoke with Mike O'Connor, and we talked about the idea of modifying the PUD to kind of accommodate what we were looking for, which we were able to do. Essentially, we eliminated a lot of the commercial. The density on the apartments was always 142 units, and that's where it stands today. But what we were able to do is take out the retail component, if you will, and we replaced that with it's probably 26,000 square foot indoor parking garage. So on the first floor of the main building, we're going to have two 2,500 square foot rental spaces, a 55-car indoor parking garage, and our clubhouse for the property, which will be about 7,800 square feet. That clubhouse will have an Amazon mailroom, a fitness studio, a yoga studio. It'll have gathering area when people can gather again, indoor and outdoor. There's hardscape patio, indoor clubhouse, little TV area, a bike room, and other amenities. On the second and third floor, there'll be 36 apartments on each floor. In addition to that, we have eight 8-unit buildings and one 6-unit building. So there'll be 70 apartments, more townhouse style in the back of the property, and the main building, like I said, will be, which is under construction now actually, that'll be going up first. We talked about phasing. I don't know if we need to get into phasing right now, but that's basically the overview of the project. We have a great team with us, BBL Construction out of Albany, and HCP Architects. Can I show the renderings?
Certainly.
Where's the camera?
Right up there.
I mean, am I going to be able to, will folks be able to see?
We'll see when you put it up there.
Okay. I think it's important to understand how nice the project is going to be. And sorry, I'm listening to the table, but is that, can everybody see that?
We'll have to make a modification here.
Hey, what if you just flip it over and use Ally's computer? Ally's computer is coming through pretty well.
Let's make an alteration to our setup here.
Jay, you should make
A little bit closer here.
5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. So essentially, this is a view from, as you're coming up Bay Road, there'll be an entrance into the property before this corner. The parking garage will exit right here. This will be all parking garage. And as you get down to the further side of the building, the clubhouse area will be on the corner of Blind Rock and Bay Road. Again, upstairs, you have an assortment of 1-bedroom and 1-bedroom den apartments, evenly spread out, 36 on each floor. The back of the property, the other 70 units will be townhouse style. And 8 of the buildings will be 8-unit, and there'll be 1 6-unit. They all have direct access garages, so you'll be able to pull into your garage, put your door down, and enter your apartment without having to go outside. These are bigger 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, probably 15 to 1,800 square feet. And they'll be ideal for folks that are downsizing and just don't want the maintenance of home ownership anymore. I think that's good. Thank you.
Any questions on the design and the complex?
Mr. Chairman,
Is that Mike?
it's Craig. It's Craig.
Craig? Okay.
So on the mix of this, do you expect families, school-aged children to be in here?
Typically, the complexes that we have now, I would say school-aged children, families with school-aged children probably represent less than 10% of the population. And I would expect that to be the same here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
What will the price range be to the consumer?
Great question. I don't know. It's, broadly speaking, so the front building, the way that we see this kind of filling up, the front building, they're going to be smaller apartments and probably more suitable for maybe younger professionals starting out, maybe somebody that just moved to the area. And, those, I'd really rather not speculate at this point because there's so many factors.
Okay.
But they'll be market sensitive. Let's say that.
Mr. Chairman, it's Mike.
Yes, Mike.
I just have a question about affordable housing, which is what Queensbury really needs. What percentage of the residential part of this project is going to be affordable housing? And by that, I mean subsidized by the federal government.
0.
0?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Craig here.
Yes, Craig.
On the January 7th, 2020 Post-Star article, there's a picture of the layout. Is that representative of what we're talking about today? Looks like there's some minor changes.
Are you talking about layout? Are you talking about the site plan?
Correct, the site plan.
I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but if you said it was January 2020, I'm going to say that yes, there were some minor site plan modifications.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see that.
We'll try and go a little closer.
No, it's not working on, no.
You gotta lift it a little higher.
Yeah, Ally's computer at the other end of the desk.
There you go.
That's okay, it was just for information. Thank you.
Craig, I think what you're referring to, I think I know what you're referring to. The changes that occurred were essentially some minor shifts in the locations of the building to better accommodate the grades. The topo that we had to work with. The main building shifted ever so slightly, but nothing that I would deem to be significant.
The other thing is that associated with your approvals, there is another commercial building, in the front, but that is not part of this project, and the original owners of the project have kept that to themselves. That was not part of what the Rossetti Companies is developing.
Okay.
I'm sure there will be more questions, but Chris would probably like to continue his presentation. to
No,
fill in
that's
a lot of
fine.
gaps. Interesting enough, when you talk about professionals, one of the things that Port Hudson has talked about is finding apartments or building apartments for their incoming doctors or residents. This might be a good fit to work with Hudson Headwaters to
The ideal.
help them fill that gap because they're finding people come up for internship or starting out. They have a hard time finding apartments and living space for them. So they want to help subsidize their professionals, medical professionals coming in because it's hard to attract them up to this area without providing them some sort of adequate and appropriate residency.
And that's a good way to get the level of professionals that you want in the area.
So with respect to, I think everybody has a good idea of the overview of the project. With respect to why we're here, we find ourselves in a interesting situation with respect to the rising cost of building materials. Curtis Lumber sent out a memo on Monday of this week, the 14th, and they broke basically all of the materials down, and they forecasted what the expectations are for the cost of those materials going into 21. Nothing's going down in price. Lumber has increased 89% since April, and they forecast that to continue. The other materials, treated lumber, OSB, plywood, drywall, composite decking, vinyl siding, I'm not going to read them all. Everything that goes into a building is anticipated to go up by at least 6 to 10% next year. If you take the middle number of 8%, that's roughly a $3 million increase in the cost of the project. If we're able to get your assistance, financial assistance, that would help bridge that gap tremendously. There's many ways to build a project. There's a way to build it if your goal is to build it, rent it, and sell it. And there's a way to build it if you're going to own it and keep it. It costs significantly more to build it if you're going to own it and keep it. And that's the way that we want to build it. It's a high-profile corner in the town. The design is beautiful, and we think the product is something that doesn't exist in this marketplace. And we think it's going to be wildly successful. Our hope is that we can get the assistance that we're looking for to, get the cash flow back where we would like it to be, and also to keep our lenders at ease because it's something the lenders like to see as part of the project as well. So,
But this is a project that Queensbury Town has supported all the way through trying to get this developed over the past 10 years.
Yes.
Am I right? And they really support this project substantially.
The support that we have received from the town has been extraordinary. I don't want to throw any other municipalities under the bus, but where we are located now, the municipality doesn't typically get behind any project the way that Queensbury has been behind this project. It's right across the street. It's going to change the corner. We had to do some off-site improvements, which was basically the turning lane, which we did back in September.
Dave Bummer,
And we just
calling.
Really like the corner.
Fucking idiot. Mute your phone.
Was there a comment? No.
I don't know.
Your phone.
Not that I know of.
Okay. So essentially, I mean, that's that's why we're here.
So one of the objectives is to have good housing a little bit more upscale housing for the town of Queensbury, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
for the town of Queensbury in the area. And the objective is to be able to provide it at a fair price.
Mhm.
And what would happen if you had to absorb these increases to the market value, to what happens?
Well, obviously, we can't increase the rent by 81% just because lumber goes up. But at some point, our traditional model has always been to rent a little bit below market because you get a better quality tenant. Um, we would much rather rent to somebody that's going to stay there for a long period of time than property management. Actually, it's happened. Property management experts have told us that we don't rent for enough because we should have more turnover. If you have more turnover, you have empty apartments, and we don't build them to have them empty. The townhouse style apartments, we typically will get, I would guess that we might have as much as 40 or 50% of the folks that live there. They probably live 5 to 10 minutes away from the property right now. They've been in their house for 30 to 40 years. They live active, healthy lives. Their kids are after them to just simplify and not have to worry about the lawn and the driveway and all that. And the number one question they typically always ask is, are you going to raise the rent every year? And if that's a concern, we'll fix their rent for 3 years. We've fixed rents for 5 years. Just, there's our promise that we're not going to raise the rent every year. Again, if you have turnover, you have months without occupancy, and that's not our model.
But your maintenance costs always go up with the turnover.
Always, yeah. You could have the neatest tenant in the world, and you still have to get in there. You have to paint, you have to do the carpet. I mean, there's always costs. So yes, Dave, this will be an upscale product. We don't know of a similar product that exists in the marketplace. We've got 125 indoor parking spaces and 142 apartments. So 17 people won't have the ability to park inside, but everybody else will. And there's very little indoor parking right now in the market.
So you've got an investment that you closed on the property.
Yes.
In November, so you own the property. You've got a large investment in that. With these rising costs, how are lenders going to look at this project if you can't control the cost better?
Well, I mean, I can't control the price of lumber. So, they're going to have to look at it the way that any prudent lender would look at it. And they're probably going to want more of an investment, from us as the owner. They want more money down, which, is something that we can do. We're typically not highly leveraged, but this is an expensive proposition.
Questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, it's Mike. I have some comments, not necessarily a question. If you don't mind.
No. We're here for it.
I'm curious about the support that the town of Queensbury is given, because if you really understand about the economic needs, and I think that's what we're supposed to be doing as a board, the IDA, there is not a need for higher income housing. There is a significant need for affordable housing. So if we're going to give benefits where all the citizens of Queensbury, as well as Warren County, will have to help make up this difference in the potential loss of sales tax revenue and school tax revenue, I'm not sure I can support this. This is a private organization. They're for profit. And I just don't see the benefit to the community to make this happen. It's just my opinion, but I wish the other members of the board would consider this as far as, is this really the type of project that we want to provide benefits to? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Nick.
I live, I can walk to this property in about 5 minutes, and I'm 81 years old, so I'm pretty close. I'm not sure I understand you, Mike. This area here, from here, if you remember the area, Mike, it's right where the town hall is, and from here down to Quaker Road, there must be, I don't know, several hundred seniors type projects. Now, whether they're funded by the federal government, I have no idea. But this area has, every time somebody says, I need to build a project here of apartments, they are filled before it's finished because there is a need at all levels. The Skimmerhorn people, for example, I don't know how many hundreds of people, of apartments they have in here. Almost all of them are seniors. And they are obviously not the all high-end projects. I'm not sure I understand what your concern is.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond,
Yes?
it's just a matter of need. What do we really need in this community? And we need more affordable housing. And if myself personally, if I'm going to vote to give benefits to housing, I'd much rather prefer it to be something that's going to help the community as a whole and address a significant need that we have. We haven't given, just a second, Nick,
Go ahead.
Just a moment. But we haven't given benefits to Skimmerhorn, who's put together hundreds, if not thousands, of apartments in Queensbury and the surrounding area. They're not necessarily affordable housing. They may be market housing, but they're not necessarily affordable. And there is a difference. So if we're going to support our economy, I believe what we need is more affordable housing.
You
And
lean
I'd
on
rather
the
get
word.
benefits for that. Thank you. I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
That's okay. I'm sorry too. You lean on the word need, however. I understand what you're saying about the taxes and all that. You lean on the word need. I was a county supervisor here, as you well know, for 16 years. And I can tell, I'm not anymore on the county board. However, from the start of my tenure to now, which is about 6 years after that 16 years, this community meaning Queensbury, has become a retirement community. It is blossoming. It is the need for apartments is filled before the construction is finished. So I want to make sure we're considering everything here, and that's one of the things. There is a need here. Otherwise, they wouldn't fill up as quickly as they do. And I understand, but I do understand what you're talking about, and it's worth considering. I have a question while I have the floor for the gentleman here. I told you I live very close by. Will there be a difference? You have put one new right turn lane going from Blind Rock Road onto Bay Road. Are you going to do anything else? Because if you're not, there's going to be a major traffic problem here very, very quickly.
We have not been asked to do anything else.
Okay.
Nor was it part of the approvals.
Okay.
So just to help understand and clarify, you've been through the entire approval process, site plan review.
Yes.
Anything else that they require in Queensbury, and you've passed all those levels.
Yes.
You've gotten all your approvals, your secret approval,
Everything.
phase one, everything else you've done. So based on that, it seems to be the town of Queensbury itself recognizes the need for this level of housing in this area. Is that a correct statement? I don't want to put words in your mouth,
No, but the thing is, the town of Queensbury approved this project in a manner that was acceptable to us, and that's what we're building what they approved. They didn't ask us to make a certain component of it available for affordable housing.
Mhm.
Did they ask somebody prior to us? I have no idea. But we're building it as per the approved PUD.
And actually, this is a PUD that the town has been looking at and has been sitting there as approved for several years. It's really only recently that the Rossetti companies got involved, really tweaked the project in a small manner, but no one over the past decade has proceeded to have an interest in developing this, notwithstanding the fact that the town, having gone through the entire approval process, has had a desire to have this particular site developed in this particular fashion.
We, I think
Dave?
that, yes, Mike.
This project has been long time coming. There's been so many times it's gone to variance and back to the planning board that they finally made it a PUD. And that's the only way it was going to happen. And so certainly the town has bought into this. So for that reason, I think we can assume that the town board and the planning board and everybody involved has approved this. So I don't see why there should be any discussion about any further approvals or need for affordable housing. It really doesn't come into play here on this particular project.
Mr.
I
Chairman?
think also there is just, let me finish, Mike, and then I'll cede the floor to you. I think that there is a difference in a PUD. A PUD, as Kara said, case law provides for PUDs. I think that there are other regulations for the IDA concerning strictly apartments. Do I have that correct?
There's nothing in general municipal law per se that discusses only, this is based in case law. So it's been challenged before throughout New York State whether or not a project could move forward, and there's case law that supports the approval of this type of project.
So where I was going is that we have never had a project come to the IDA for this type of assistance. I think that looking at this, I think that their investment strategy has certainly been turned upside down with the current market environment, the pandemic, everything else is going on. So I think that consideration is there. And I think that we would be remiss in ourselves if we didn't consider this project to make sure when this is built, that it's going to be affordable for the residents of Queensville. And I know that there is a trend, as I think Nick mentioned, for older people such as me, not quite yet though, who are selling their houses and moving to places. And I would like to find a place that fits my lifestyle. This is my personal feeling, my lifestyle, than saying, I need to select apartment because it's the only thing available. I think this gives my personal opinion, this gives an avenue for people in a little better financial condition to move into and not sacrifice their living, because I'm not going to go to Florida. Anyhow, so Mike, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No,
that's fine.
Mr. Chairman. Or I'm sorry, which Mike? Mike
The wild one.
Sorry, Mr. Grasso, I'll yield in a moment or so. But I just wanted to just inform and maybe remind the individuals on the board that I have been in front of planning boards. I also was engaged early on when this project was trying to get approved, when it was in front of the Queensbury Town zoning and planning boards. Now, when we say that they're in support of the project, there was never any question or talk about tax incentives to make this happen. And I just zoned off for a minute and spoke with one of the planning board members and asked if that was part of their consideration. It was not. And I asked if they were personally in favor of providing tax incentives for this. And he didn't really want to say, but he is not personally as being a resident of Queensbury. So let's make sure we get this straight. This is higher income housing. It's a for-profit endeavor. We're not going to have any jobs except for some temporary construction jobs. And Nick, I know you're a little bit older than I, but I'm not very far away from this project either. And I still think I can beat you because I'm off of Blind Rock Road. So You know, but that's not why I'm against it. I'm not against it because it's in my backyard. I'm against it because I don't think we should be providing the tax incentives for this type of project. So again,
So,
thank you, Mr. Chairman,
there-
I would yield.
Go ahead, Mike. Grassley, do you have something to say?
Well, you know, everybody knows what's happening with lumber, building materials, if you can even get them. So, you know, they probably are going to be anticipating some delays and things of that nature. So the increased cost of construction and having to keep within bank, you know, what the bank, where they want them to be as far as financing, you know, I can see where this project could possibly stall. And it would seem a shame after all these years to see a project like this stall when it's taken so long to develop this area.
I want to make a couple of points because when they came, I took a look at it with Karen. We really evaluated what was going on here. We have 3 levels of assistance. And actually, we want to get wild, we can do more than that. Our first is dedicated to manufacturing, which is 100%, 100% for the first 5 years, 50% for the second 5 years. That is mostly dedicated to manufacturing. The second level is 50% for 5 years and 25% for the second 5 years. One of the requirements we have for that is what one of the guidelines, I shouldn't say it is because it's not a requirement, that is something the IDA can make the decision on, is we actually tie both those to amount of jobs produced. In this case, with what Chris has projected for this project, they will be creating 6 jobs. Whomever is running the commercial facilities will also have jobs which can be counted towards this, but we're not even going that level. So the third level assistance, which doesn't qualify on jobs, that we have the power to do is what's called the model after the 485B. And a model after 485B, which mostly is that the IDA can do, starts at 50% the first year and goes down 5% for every year for 10 years. Because of coming in a little bit late, we would prefer projects come in before the project starts to present their case and work around it. I think because of 2 things is, number one, we don't have the large number of jobs being created. Number 2, came a little bit late in the project, but I think that the 485B is where they fit in the project, and that's what I proposed to Chris. It still helps them out, so that 45B, which is available at any town, can be done by the IDA. It's just changing the hat who wears that. So it's not granting something that they aren't eligible for. We're just doing it in one place to help them out with other assistance. So that's the case we're looking at. So I understand your concerns, Mr. Wild, but I also understand that this is a valuable project for Queensbury. I think it would be hard for the community to get to a certain point where they can't get their financing through and they have to just abandon the project or delay the project and have or go to inferior building products, which you don't want to do for upscale housing. So I also want to wrap it up is that the IDA is also open to talking to any project, no matter what that project is, to discuss the capability for them. So if in fact there is affordable housing, who by its own name is already getting assistance from the federal government, the state government, and assistance through all the life of their project, there's assistance there. If they want to come present their case and the IDA board feels it fits under their guidelines, we're more than willing to look at that and evaluate that. We haven't had that opportunity at this point. So I think we need to take that consideration. Is it's not that we won't help, it's people haven't come to ask for help. I think that's a key part of it. And they're here presenting their case about why they want to be successful, have a successful project, and contribute to the success of that area and the residents of Queensbury. Other comments, please?
Mr.
I'd like
Chairman.
to point out just,
Craig first.
go ahead, Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 4 of the application is that interestingly written question there. Please confirm by checking the box below. If there is a likelihood that the project would not be undertaken but for the financial assistance provided by the agency, and it's marked no. I always have to be reminded of what that question is asking so that it's answered either yes or no. What is that asking? That the project would not happen if it was not for financial assistance? Or otherwise?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So what the application is stating is that this project would not go forward if this funding allowance was not allowed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Brian,
So a couple things. First of all, from the 30,000 foot level, which is a little higher than everyone else is looking at it. I don't know Queensbury's parameters as all sorts of housing, but is you have elderly that live in Queensbury that move into these apartments. You also have houses that come available for younger families that, you know, they can buy and rehab and the whole bit. So there's a big benefit there too to your community. So I don't want to overlook that, because that's also a component. As these new apartments get built and people move into them, these houses get rehabbed and redone and also build your community. But the second thing, from listening to this discussion, does this mean every time Mr. Skimmerhorn decides to build an apartment, he'll be here looking for the same thing? That is a bigger discussion, and I think that's where Mr. Wild was going. I mean, if we want to say this is because it's a one-time deal, costs went up, and we can, you know, and we can live with that, that's one thing. But if this is going to be the new norm, this could get very interesting with groups that have never come before us before. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just stating it.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
understand that, but my quick answer to that is every project has to stand on its own.
that's what I thought too. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Mike Wild a question. Mike, did you attend the planning board meetings on this? And was the issue of affordable housing brought up as a part of the discussion on the planning board? After all, we're looking at a project now that you and I see every day. There's a lot of people out there working, and we're a long ways down the road. Was this a discussion with the planning board when it came before them?
No, Nick, I was involved. Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll respond.
No, fine.
Well, Nick, this was all about, my involvement was very early on when this project was stalled and beat up so many times and over so many years in terms of what it was going to look like. And eventually got to the point where I supported the project, because we've got to have the ability to not use government regulations to create a taking. And basically that's what was happening. And once that was resolved, I kind of stepped away. But, you know, case in point, this is a project that was not necessarily for housing, but again, it wasn't part of the consideration of the planning board. And I've spoken with the supervisor of town of Queensbury, and he's not in favor of this. I've spoken with John Stroud. He's not in favor of providing these benefits. Now, he's not on the planning and zoning board, but if I'm not mistaken, this needs to go to a public hearing in the town of Queensbury to get approval to make happen. And I think we need to take that into consideration. And on top of that project is already, excuse me, Nick, just one more thing. You know, these people have already invested tens of thousands of dollars in activity on this project already. So I would think that they already knew that the prices of materials were going up before they even started to break ground. So I think it's somewhat disingenuous to think that it's all about the building materials, because as many of you know, I've been involved with building a house and I've seen this. I've seen the substantial increase. And if I were to start today, I would probably do something different. I wouldn't do what I started in December, in January and February.
One of the things you said, though, Mike, is very important to this meeting, I think. Whatever we do, or if we approve it, it's going to go for a public hearing anyway. So there will be a chance for people to have their say regarding this at that point, won't they? But what you're telling me is, at the planning board level, this particular project was not subject to a discussion regarding affordable housing.
And the same is true for tax incentives to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but is that done? Is that done at every planning board meeting? No.
It's not. It's not. But that's what I'm saying. We're kind of the checks and balance on that. And of course, it goes to the town also. But my statement was only just this. This is a high-end apartment complex. It's going to be a profit-generating business for these gentlemen. I would assume they would do that no matter what. So,
I'd like to make a simple point, Mike, to that. Every project we have is mostly by private industry,
right,
whose goal is to make a profit.
And what's the
and they need assistance in getting there. So I just want to clarify that. Don't put that out there, make it clear.
Right.
Our goal is to help every company that we help be successful, make a profit, and invest in the community and make the community successful. So,
and I think the last
Dan Bruno hasn't spoken for a while, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As many of you may or may not know, I've been the chairman of the planning board in the city of Glens Falls for probably too many years. But during my tenure, I've been involved with a number of projects, and I don't want to turn this into a discussion about affordable housing, but since it's taken up a fair amount of time, been involved with the review, et cetera, of numerous projects with regard to affordable housing. And some of the criteria for affordable housing, where they locate when these entities come, is the proximity to services, hospitals, doctors, food stores, you name it. And that's why in Glens Falls, we have a number of projects that could be termed or are termed affordable housing. The most recent one to be constructed is on Broad Street across from the Hannaford. And so I just throw that out there because with respect to that, I don't see this location as lending itself to affordable housing when you take that criteria into consideration. So I just want to throw that out there and for what it's worth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dan, for your contribution. So any other comments, Mr. Biddle or Lester?
Just one more, Mr. Chairman. It's not about the fact that this does not have affordable housing. It's more along the fact that I would prefer our benefits go to something that's going to provide a significant benefit to the community. And to say that this is a benefit to the community, we can all take different looks at that and draw our own conclusions. But I'm just not in favor of providing benefits for this project. So thank you.
Thank you. So Chris or Gene, do you have anything else to contribute here based on your discussion?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that I would mention is, obviously from the real property tax standpoint, the town and the school district had this project been built 5 years ago, with some assistance, you'd have your taxes, already. So hopefully we can facilitate the assistance so we can build a quality project like this, the town will be getting real property taxes paid with respect to the project, as opposed to vacant land assessments, which is all the town has been getting over the past several decades.
Thank you. I would like to point out that in the first year, should this project go up, they will be getting 50% of the taxable value. So the town and the school will be getting a substantial amount of money during the first 5 years and the first year, and declining after that. So there is some incentive, but I think you want to make sure that we understand that this is something they could get should they apply to the town or the school, and they should give it to them. We just have the capability to do it as part of our portfolio to help them out. So I want to make sure we understand that. We're not talking about the first two pilot forms we have, but the 485B formula. And taxes will be starting to be paid immediately upon construction, upon finish of the phase 1, phase 2. Maybe you ought to talk about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
So phase 1 is under construction now. That's the 116,000 square foot building with the 72 apartments, the commercial space, the indoor garage. Phase 2 would most likely include the 6-unit building and 4 8-unit buildings. And then phase 3 would be the last 5. Actually, phase 2 would be the 6-unit and 3 other 8 units. And phase 3 would be the section that runs parallel with Blind Rock Road, and there would be 5 8-unit buildings there.
Okay.
The timing will be dependent upon the interest in the project.
The success of the first phase.
Correct.
So the more you
The
can
market
make
will drive it.
the more you can make the first phase successful, the more the additional assessed value come into the project.
Correct.
So we've heard a lot. Just for from here, should the executive committee, we'll move it to the full board for introduction resolution and more discussion and presentation of the project. We'll then, of course, have to have a public hearing within 2 weeks. Then I don't know what the timing is going to be, but we need 2 weeks notice for the time.
Yeah, we need 10 days notice.
10 days, and then the final part of it would be the final approval of the project. And I think what I'd like to ask for is the executive committee to make a decision, make a motion to move this forward, at least for more consideration and more information and avenues. And so if I could ask that from the executive committee.
So move, Craig.
Moved by Craig. Do I have a second?
Yeah, Brian, I'll second it. Dave, I think the whole committee needs to hear this whole story and vet it completely before it goes to public hearing.
Okay. So I'll need a roll call vote on that.
Craig Leggett,
Yes.
Michael Biddle.
He seems to have dropped out.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Mike Wild,
Going to say yes on the pretense that it's going to go in front of the full board and it deserves that discussion.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Any questions? You know how to get a hold of me. Jane.
Thank you very
Appreciate your
much.
time. Thank you,
I
everybody.
appreciate your time, and I hope it hasn't snowed out, started snowing out yet.
We'll find out in a minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the next project is we have Mr. Boats by George. I think that you've seen that in the paper talking about his proposed acquisition of the farm in Lake George. I've seen and heard comments from various organizations that they're glad someone's going to take the bull by the horns on this project, on the forum, to move it forward. It's been underutilized in terms of full years, so I would like to discuss this. Within this, this is considered a retail project, and one of our qualifications on retail projects is we need to make sure we can do. I will defer to Kara on this, on what we need to do in terms and consider in terms of retail. Take care now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
So, because it's a retail, I'll take this off, she isn't here. Because it's a retail project, you have to, in order to proceed with this project, you have to find that it fits into one of the exceptions in the law. So those exceptions are that the project is located in a highly distressed area, and that is a defined, has a defined scope that we could look into. I don't believe it will be in a highly distressed area. The second option is that it is providing a good or service to the residents of the community that's not otherwise readily available to them. And the third option is that it's a tourist destination and that it brings people to the facility from outside the economic development region, which is also a defined term. And I can get you all the counties that are included, but it's the standard ones that, you know, Capital District, and then I believe, I think that I don't think it goes up into the North Country term. It's the same regions we have for COVID.
So, okay. George, so would you introduce your project, what you're looking to do, why you think that this is going to be a benefit to the area, to Lake George, and why you think it would fit under one of the qualifications that Kara just mentioned?
Well, I think based on what Kara just said, and based on what I've seen in the paperwork, we have been, of course, in business now almost 40 years, actually 40 years. In January, I started Boats by George as a boat canvas shop in 1981. And then have gradually developed the business from canvas shop to boat dealership to full service to developing a lot of properties and during this time, we have become a boat dealership, and we have found that creating our business through becoming a destination for customers based on product lines and services and exclusivity, we are bringing people to our business from outside of the development area in big numbers. Now, I didn't know that the area included any counties south of Saratoga County. I don't know if that's for real or not. Was my understanding Saratoga County would be furthest southernmost county. Well, the Capital District is huge, and our customers, the majority of them are from the Capital District. And then, but we have boats being delivered to customers in Lake Champlain, in Lake Bomazeen, Vermont, in Lake St. Catherine, Vermont, up in Fourth Lake, in Old Forge area, Lake Placid, Otsego Lake down towards Binghamton. So we did a little research on our sales in 2020 for this purpose. And I've provided in my application some information relative to this. It worked out to be about half of the boats were being registered in counties outside of Warren, Washington, Saratoga, and the list that we have.
So one question while you're there, George, just a quick question, or my people's mind will forget it, is that your walk-in population, I mean, people just strolling the streets of Lake George, they're not your customer. Your customer is someone who makes at a point to travel to your organization to buy a boat, because the boats are unique. And one of the things you told me is that people can wait up to a year for a boat, and your purpose is to bring them here to buy a boat on the spot. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to paraphrase or jump ahead of you, but I just want to make that point and see if that's what you had formulated.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a boat show, but right now, and you know, the lead time for a boat is minimum 3 months, and currently it's could be a year. A good number of our allotment of boats is already sold for 2021. We've had to up our orders to various manufacturers who have product availability. But, you know, one of the things that has made it possible for our business to grow has been the ability to stockpile inventory in the winter months, so that, and have a place where people can come visit, like a boat show, and be able to select and have a good selection. And so part of our success is creating a business, year-round business. And we're definitely drawing people in from long distances, because actually even our showroom on Route 149 is one of the larger boat showrooms from upscale boating products available to visit in the winter. There's not very many indoor facilities around. And so it really is like a year-round boat show every weekend.
So you're bringing administrative offices over to the forum, is that correct?
Correct.
You are also going to repurpose the facility on 149 for used boats. Is that my memory recollect me?
Yes. What we what our plan is to use it for storage, and as the product availability improves and as our product lines fill in, then it will become our used boat center.
Does anyone have do people have questions for George? I would like to remind you that George also has a pilot with the IDA on his facility in Fort Ann, and storage unit, storage station repair in Fort Ann. So I just want to remind you that. So any questions for George or Craig? I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's see. The site plan review status, did that go through on the 2nd of December?
Yes, and the final approval was given for the project last night at town.
Okay. And of your other sites, are any of them going to be closing or just repurposed?
Absolutely not. None closing. We have 2 marinas in Queensbury. We have our showroom on Route 149. We have our service center, which is 8 acres. That was the project, the last project we did together in 2016. And then now we'll have the forum. Every square inch of almost all of our facilities could be. I mean, if we could have been in the forum this winter, we could have filled up the old showroom with storage boats for this winter. But anyways, we expect that the situation with COVID, hopefully, and and the markets will be temporary, and at some point in time in the near future, well, a year out, we'll be able to start stockpiling some boats again.
Yes.
Barbara Camino?
Oh, wait, one last one on the job creations. As I was looking at the table and that there, I was trying to make sense of it. How many new jobs, George?
Well, very quickly, we're looking at, in the first 2 years, roughly 8 positions.
Okay.
That's a conservative estimate, though.
Okay, thank you.
Barbara, yes?
I haven't changed my sex, but I will if you want me to. George, you mentioned a couple of times, you said year-round boat show. Will you be using this as a marketing tagline with hopes of drawing people from even a further distance?
Well, yeah, something very ironic about this whole thing is that when I built the showroom on Route 149, it was an 8,000 square foot building, but it was set back, and it's kind of like in a place. Its positioning doesn't allow for a lot of visibility. And so we always market it as the area's largest showcase of boats. And people still go into this facility today and say, wow, I never knew this was here. And a lot of it was they didn't realize what was in there, like, 20 boats in there. Well, 20 boats, we've grown out of this. We need 40 boats inside. And so anyways, the forum is something I've had my eyes on for 3 or 4 years. And as a wall, but again, it's there's going to be no windows. I mean, the boats are going to, people are going to enter. We're going to make a grand entrance into that building. And as soon as they get in the lobby, they're going to see boats like they never seen before. But it was just a little ironic that because of the positioning of the building and that's the way it is. But in the North Country, look, we don't want a lot of windows. In this building, we're working very hard to make it so that it's reasonable to operate. And part of it is to make that ice system, convert that over to radiant heat. And so that's a project that we're investigating to the fullest right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Michael.
Okay, George, I know that there were a number of not-for-profit groups hoping to get that forum to do shows, et cetera, and they just couldn't get their act together. So certainly it's been dormant for a number of years. While I think that would have been probably a good use for it. If you can commit to us that you're not going to use it for storage, because certainly a storage facility like that doesn't lend itself to the criteria that we have to meet in order to help you out. And so I would hope that it certainly will be a year-round boat show. I think that's a really good idea. And I think you can get some real traction with that, because there isn't a place where people can go unless they go to the New York Boat Show in the wintertime to see boats on display. So I think the use you're proposing, if indeed it is a showroom and not a storage facility.
Okay, Mike. I mean, yeah. I mean, reality is what I'm talking about. When I said storage, I was talking about the Route 149 location. We may repurpose that building for a year for some boat storage, only because of the inventory shortages that we may be dealing with in the next 12 months. But that's the Route 149 location. The forum, everything is about boat sales. I got an approval to put 50 boats outside there, but those are the 50 boats that are in stock that don't fit in the showroom today because we have inventory waiting, okay? That is what the boat storage is at the forum. It's supporting the boat sales. So it's all boats for sale there. We don't do what's going to be there is boat sales, administrative offices, and boat rigging. Rigging, what I mean by that is new boat rigging. preparing it to go into the room for customers to see.
Okay, yeah, I have no problem with 149 being storage, but I wouldn't want to see that building there being just boat storage, if you follow my drift.
Absolutely not, no.
So
Thank
I think it's a credit to George to step up to take ownership of this property, desperately in need of a good use. And some of the comments I've heard from people who want to do it for other purposes is the facility is too small for it. There's not enough parking here. So for a facility that was for groups or fundraisers, something like that. So that's the input I got from other people from Lake George about this facility and why they thought that it was a good fit for George stepping in to make this a productive use, because they know he's going to do a Class A job and he knows everything he's touched has worked out to this point and hopefully will continue in the future. Any other questions? So,
It's Mike, sorry.
yeah.
I have a question for George. George, I'm enthralled by the idea of having a winter boat show. How many, you're going to be open all winter then, I'm assuming, is that correct?
Yeah, we've been open, we're open 7 days a week year round. I do give them Christmas off. And I give them Thanksgiving off.
That's
but,
nice.
But no, we're open year round, and we do a lot of business in January and February, and but when we've been busy, I mean, last week they sold 4 used boats, and on the weekend they sold a couple new boats. So we're busy even in December.
Great, great. Well, the whole idea is to try to bring more people up to the area in the wintertime. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm in support of this, and good luck. I'm just curious, do you have people that are out of the area that spend time overnight?
Sure we do. We have people that fly in. We had a boat get sold that went to Wisconsin this year. These are specialty used boats typically. We don't sell new boats outside of this area, but we had somebody come in and they bought a Chris Craft. They're taking it to Lake Tahoe. So they fly in and out of the Warren County Airport. We had Steve Wynn come in and buy a boat from us. He keeps his boats up. He's bought a few boats from us. He keeps his boats up in Fourth Lake. The billionaire, Steve Wynn.
Okay, well, good luck, George. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So at this point, I'd entertain a motion to forward this to the full board on Monday with the recommendation that we approve the variance or the option for draw from a larger area. Is that correct here?
Well, it's going to be your resolution on Monday Monday will only be to schedule a public hearing. You won't make a finding on the tourist destination until after the public hearing.
Okay. Did you make a motion, Brian?
Yes.
Do I have a second? Second by Craig. Roll call, please.
Craig Leggett,
Yes.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Mike Wild,
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Carried. Thank you, George. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch with you about Monday.
That's great. Thank you very, very much for hearing this.
You're welcome.
It is a challenge for me.
You're up to it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
have a good evening, everybody, and Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So, I did want to get back to a second to our previous discussion. We have done PUDs before. I was in error when I said it. We've done it for Peter Hoffman. And it's my understanding that Glens Falls Housing, Glens Falls IDA has also done some projects with Peter.
Yes, Glens Falls IDA has done 14 Hudson, which is not Peter's project, but it's a mixed use, and a couple of his apartments, Peter Hoffman.
Have any of those been affordable? Or?
I don't believe so.
Did you have anything else to say on it? Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Barbara?
Yeah. Something that I heard on the news before I got here, something that regarding the first project we just took up. I wouldn't be surprised, Mike Wild, if we saw the construction stop shortly. Maybe I misunderstood. My wife's telling me I misunderstood. Oh, okay. Forget what I said. My wife is questioning me and telling me the real truth. I thought I had heard that the county of Warren was going to close down construction stuff like that because of they're seeing their virus climb because people from other areas are coming in. She's telling me now that's not right. So I'm wrong again. That's why my name is Barbara.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else come before the committee? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and effort.
See you Monday.
To be continued.
Oh, be well.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.